This or something.
What's that?
That's what I wanted to talk about tonight.
What's that?
Bottom of this.
Oh.
We're good, Annie.
Okay. So next is update the agenda. Anyone? Good?
I just wanted to talk about a new link. I'm going to send it out after this meeting. And this was from the Vermont Emergency Management Agency, VEMA, or VEM, however you like to call them. And this is it's a municipal climate change vulnerability indicators tool. They don't have a really good name for it, but this tool, it's actually pretty interesting. It's got climate information on there. It's got vulnerability information, so like showing your most vulnerable populations. It's got our emergency operations centers on there. It's got the fire departments, all that kind of info. If you were developing a hazard mitigation plan, would be very useful. It also has 100-year and 500-year flood information on there, so we can kind of see the fluvial erosion and kind of predict from there where we need to target particular areas of interest to improve and to be more resilient. So that's kind of what that tool is all about. I'll send that link out. You guys can play with it. I haven't really played with it a whole lot, but NVDA just told me about it today while I was at a VEM meeting. So it looks like a pretty neat and nifty tool that's going to help us with a lot of town planning.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up is public comment. Bruce, anything?
If I may, is there anything that you can share at this time on our town clerk, slant bar treasurer? I've heard bits and pieces, but is everything okay?
As far as I know, she's doing better. I wasn't in the office today. I was at meetings, so I can't speak any further. Unfortunately, I don't know since I wasn't here. So, but I do know she is recovering. Last I checked, the plan was to have her home by this weekend. I just don't know if that's the case.
Okay, so she is not home yet.
I can't confirm.
Okay. Well, that's more than I knew. Thank you.
I know somebody built a ramp for her today so she could get in and out of the house.
That's more than I knew.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, they told me they built it, so.
Good. Thank you. Anything else? We good? Next up is the zoning appeal petition.
Petition is that?
Isn't that the one that
Is Joel there?
I'm here. I
Um,
just can't get video for some reason.
No worries. Do you want to walk us through kind of this petition and how all of this works?
Do you have the petition in front of you?
I do not.
Oh,
Well, the first job of the planning commission is to see if the petition meets the requirements for a valid petition.
that was.
And it doesn't in its current format, as I recall, it includes, they want to not only abolish zoning, but they want to also abolish the zoning administrator, which is redundant. There's no zoning, there's no zoning administrator. And they want it done by a certain date. Well, they don't have the authority to specify a date in any event. That's determined by the state law. So that's the first job, is to look at this petition and look at the wording and decide what it is. If you correct any deficiencies, that's your first job, to decide what is the vote, what is the wording of the petition that you are going to agree with, that it's the right, that it's duly representing what the petitioners wanted, which is basically to abolish zoning. I think it could be as simple as rewording it to say, shall the town abolish its zoning bylaw, to that effect, because that's the essence of it. Once that's done, once you agree to the wording, you'll hold a public hearing, you'll file a report to the select board. The order of those two, I'm not sure of off the top of my head, but it's all in the state law. It's pretty clear. And you'll make a recommendation to the select board. And then this, just so you understand the full process and know what could happen is the select board also holds a public hearing and then they make their decision. And within 20 days of the select board's decision, the voters can put together another petition to hold a town meeting to have a town-wide vote. Otherwise, the selectmen's decision rules. Is that pretty clear?
Here's mud.
So they've got a date, do we get to change the date on that?
The date is, yeah, the date's gone. You don't, we'll
Okay.
set. the
Right, you don't have
date.
to worry about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll set the date because it's specified in how you're supposed to do that in state law.
We don't put a date in.
No, you don't put a date in.
Okay.
There will be a warning for the vote that'll have a date. Well, no, there won't be a warning for that. There'll be warnings for your meetings.
Right. So
When do you see this meeting taking place?
after we go through all the,
Well, once you decide on the wording, I don't have my little chart in front of me, but Michael, do you have that in front of you at all?
I do know, and so after we,
It's gonna be.
so, yes, so we're gonna correct the wording,
And then they make a report.
and then we will, actually, it says, then the planning commission will then schedule a public hearing to gather public input on the petition.
Right.
And at least 15 days prior to that hearing, we must notify all the surrounding towns, the planning commission, the Department of Housing and Community Development, so that they all can make their comments as well. And then we compile that along with our report that we're going to be writing and present that to the select board after the hearing.
So the
So,
first
this
thing we
yeah,
gotta do
what
is
are we doing?
decide on
Just-
the wording.
we
So the
got,
report that goes to the select board,
Oh.
Yes,
is that report,
Correct.
is that report going to say where we may lose certain fundings if we
No.
don't have?
a town.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's where we bring up our case, right?
sure.
Right. And if
Okay.
you guys looked at the website link that I sent you, they actually have a pretty good, that their response is on their website that they sent, that they used, and ours will be very similar.
But I do wish you had the petition wording in front of you when
Yeah,
were
we do.
making the
They do now.
decision.
We do now,
Well,
we
you,
do.
Okay. What, could someone read
So-
it out loud?
It says, shall the citizens of Brighton in a town-wide vote to be held on November 3rd by Australian ballot, vote to abolish all zoning bylaws, position of zoning administrator, and all building permits. This vote is to include that no attempt to reinstate zoning shall be made without a town-wide special vote by Australian ballot.
Right,
I'm
so,
saying just shall the town of Brighton abolish all zoning bylaws and building permits? Because like you said, the administrator, I mean, if there's no zoning, then you don't need the administrator.
you don't need to say and building permits, just a zoning. I
Right.
think you should probably say, shall the town
Citizens?
of Brighton abolish the
Citizens?
Brighton's,
No?
the
No.
Brighton zoning bylaw adopted, and put a date in there. We'll put a date, it's 2012, I think, but we'll get a better date. Shall the town of Brighton abolish the
2012.
zoning bylaw adopted on such and such a date? And then that'll be the question, if there is a petition successfully submitted after the selectmen make their decision, that will be the language that goes on the ballot. So we have to we might even want to run this past the league attorneys, or our own attorney,
I would.
make sure.
So shall the town of Brighton abolish the town of Brighton zoning bylaws adopted March 20th, 2012?
I think that about sums it up, right?
Yep, that would be it.
So we don't need all this stuff.
No, they
Yep,
don't
the
have
rest of it, Arky.
they don't have the authority to determine any of that stuff. That's the bylaws adopted under, Title 1, Chapter 117, yeah, 117, Section 44, 41. So that's the process. They can't make a special town meeting.
You would never make.
So
a meeting.
I'm a little confused here as to why I see that this is the petition that they're going to be passing around.
They already did.
They already did.
They already did.
Yeah, that's why we're here now, because now they've got their signatures,
Okay,
but we have to rewrite it because it's not right.
No,
so then,
Correct.
so if we have to rewrite it, do they have to pass it all around again?
No,
No,
we don't send it back to him, have him rewrite it?
no.
the
It's
law
not.
gives the planning commission the authority to correct any technical deficiencies in the petition wording.
Okay, now I understand.
Okay,
Should we say, you said, Joel, shall the town of Brighton, or is it the citizens of Brighton? Town,
Town.
Okay.
It-
you said citizen, okay, town.
Town is better.
So shall the town of Brighton abolish the town of Brighton zoning bylaws adopted March 2012?
You could leave out the second town of, right before Brighton zoning bylaw.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, abolish zoning bylaws. Okay. Shall the town of Brighton abolish the zoning bylaws adopted March 2012?
No, the Brightons, I didn't mean to get rid of the Brighton too, just the town of, the second town of. So
Oh,
shall
okay.
be the Brighton
Brighton-
zoning bylaw.
Oh, okay.
That's how it's actually titled.
So anybody that's a registered voter in Island Pond will have a say in this.
No.
That's
No,
why
Oh,
I'm,
no,
that's why I'm asking this
no,
question.
the select board.
the planning
No,
board will
but-
make a recommendation to the select board. The select board will hold a public hearing, and after the public hearing, the select board will make a decision on the wording that you have. The wording before them will be shall the town abolish the zoning bylaw? And if the select board says no, that's the final decision unless, and this is the only option left for the voters to have a say. The voters, after the select board's decision, can get another petition together. It has to have enough names, has to be done correctly, and it can, if they get enough names, they can call for a special town meeting to vote by Australian ballot on this same issue.
Okay,
So they can have their say, but they have to have enough people to sign a petition to do it. This petition is not the same as that petition.
so I guess my next question is when this finally goes in front of the select board, who's gonna be the speaker on the board's behalf here? Is it the town manager's job to bring this forward to
It's
the
gonna
board?
be on the agenda, right?
I would recommend that when this comes on the agenda, that the entire planning commission do attend.
Oh, absolutely, but I mean,
You guys are submitting it.
Is-
Hey,
okay, so someone's gonna have to speak about this, and what are the pros and cons to it?
I think
Yeah.
that's Annie's job.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm just asking this question, I'm not trying to cause problems here.
No,
Well,
you'll-
I
I have
think-
something written out to talk about it. I mean, it's not the top of my
Yeah,
head.
yeah, it's like, I
We'll
mean,
help you.
yeah, and, right, you're not gonna be all alone. I
And
mean,
we as a board, anybody on the board can talk at that meeting.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know that I can.
to avoid conflict of interest.
Yeah,
you could
probably.
abstain,
That's
But,
right, that's right.
but the rest of you could certainly speak on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I just like to know how we're gonna approach this and how it's
You'll also
going to
have
come
your
about.
report. You'll also have your report right in front of you to work from, you know, it's like the report will do the work. You just have to, sort of, here's our report and say a few words about it and
I mean, by having what we have in place has really been beneficial to the town because it's helped out for funding, for projects from the federal government. It's helped in a lot of things here and we're gonna lose all that.
That'll be in the report. That's the next step after you guys agree on the language.
Okay,
Okay, so we agree
I
on
mean,
this?
well, we'll have to
Yeah.
have a public hearing, but
I make a motion that, what we just agreed to, and rewriting the petition, I'd like to, bring that forward.
Okay, he's bringing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
Mike?
Okay, so moving on. For the zoning administrator report, Beth is not here, but I will read what she sent to us for the meeting. Okay. Permit issues, not many to report. Property at 4423 East Brighton Road met setback requirements for shed permit approved. Previously did not put in the setbacks on the permit. Lot 7A Rosebrook Hill approved for house garage. Next is the DRB referral for variance at Atwood Drive for 30-foot setback on a garage to be built. Next one was the DRB approved garage shed variance on property on 5 Mile Square who only had 1.74 acres. I don't understand that. Why? is
That
it
was that
required?
guy that came in here and he didn't
Yes.
have, because he,
Oh,
it's 2 acres and he didn't have 2 acres, so
oh.
she sent it to the DRB.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So
They
that's all
rounded it.
set. Okay, compliance issues. I have sent a letter to the property owner at 286 Meadow Street regarding the 20+ unregistered junk cars in the yard. I have also discussed with the Department of Environmental Conservation, who will investigate as well regarding non-permitted salvage yard. I sent a copy of the DRB decision from 2010 regarding the permitting of this property to the owner, and the decision was emphasized that not one junk car could be allowed outside of the building.
I remember that.
Property owner spoke with the town manager to request that I attend this week's select board meeting to address both the select board and myself. I will be in attendance at the meeting. If there are any other zoning issues, property owners can attend this meeting as well. I sent another letter to the abandoned house at 145 Railroad Street, no response. I also sent a letter to a property on Davis Lane who is building a garage and does not have a permit. No response as of yet. My concern is enforcement. How are we as a town going to enforce these bylaws? We need to reevaluate with the select board, town manager, any other board about enforcement for zoning. Again, I will be present at the select board meeting this coming Wednesday, and I will be certainly available for further updates or clarity.
I'm glad she brought this up. I have a question to Mike and Noah and Joel. When someone takes an administrative part, a job like this, zoning administrator, are they given a booklet? Are they given anything as far as a standard operational procedures and how you go about for step 1, step 2, step 3? I came to the town hall and found no such booklet of SOPs for any position in this town. Used to have something years ago in 1950 that we found, but I have not found anything of present that would help someone who takes a job like this and saying, this is what we recommend you do. This is the procedures for some things that you should follow. And if you have questions, you can go to the planning board and ask for guidance, or Noah, ask for guidance, or, anyone. But I mean, I don't see anything in writing here for people who take on a position and what their responsibilities are and how they go about it.
Yeah.
There's no standard operational procedures for these people to follow.
Sure.
Oh,
But
yes,
it-
there
but-
is.
Yeah,
Yes,
there is.
Yes, there is. There's
Yeah,
a
there is.
zoning administrator's handbook.
Yep.
which
Well, where
they
is that
have.
handbook? It's
I'll
not here.
I'll send you, she has a copy. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Anybody can
All
have a
right.
copy of it.
I'm just asking this because I did come
Yeah,
here.
no, it's okay,
and-
but
And I couldn't find anything for any position.
there's not only that, there's a whole state nonprofit planning organization, or there's actually two that I know of. And they have produced all kinds of information about planning and zoning, which, you know, Vermont, I forget what they're called, but they're planning networks, they're planning organizations. There's plenty of information online available. But the
Well,
zoning
and-
administrator's handbook is the main book that they use, and she has a copy.
Yeah.
Now,
Because her
Well, that-
concern is about enforcement. And in turn, I just like to bring something up. I went to surrounding towns and talked to listers. And I talked, because they don't have a contractor like we do to do assessments. They have a lister. And I asked them, how do you go about when someone just purposely bills something and doesn't report it to the town? And he says, one guy said, and I'll mention you his name, is Steve Wilson. He's part of West Charleston, and they have a lot of things like this that happen. And they go around once a year and they spend a week. Some of them, 2 or 3 people in the car, and they go around, they make records of, oh, this wasn't here last year. And I'm not saying that this is what our zoning administrator needs to do, but when they find a violation that someone is building something and hasn't told the town, they have until April 1st in the state to, I'll hold on just a minute, I got it right here. There's a step process that they follow. And one is they send out a letter to them, and if they don't respond, at least they have that letter in record that it was sent to them. And then they go to the site with not just one person like Beth would be by herself. A town like Nora would go with her. Someone on the planning board could go with her and have representatives of the town there. They go on the site, they walk around. He could tell them to leave, but that what they do in these other towns, they walk through anyways. They take pictures. They don't measure nothing because he doesn't want him to do that. And they in turn around and they send a change of appraisal notice in the mail to the violators.
Okay.
Now,
stop right there,
this
stop
all
right there.
has-
Stop. Whoa,
Let
stop.
me finish, Joel.
No,
I'm telling you
you're-
what the other towns do.
No,
Let me
you're,
finish.
you're
I'm not
wrong on
letting
the
you.
basic presumption,
not-
Mark. Charleston
not-
has no zoning.
I realize that.
You're talking about listers and appraisers. You're not talking.
Well, you didn't let
planning
me
commission members.
finish, Joel.
All right,
You didn't
sorry.
let me finish. Let
Sorry.
me finish. I don't want to
Sorry.
have to.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to be very calm here and talk so that everybody can understand where I'm coming from. So they have a lister with them, but for us, it could be the appraiser that we have hired as a contractor. And we can have that appraiser say, look, we want you to be at such and such an address on such and such a day. Is that possible for you? Yes, good. We'll meet you there, or we'll meet at the town hall. Noah can be there and have 2 other people as witnesses. And they go there and they look at it and they say, okay, we've seen enough. Then what the appraiser will do, per our request, is appraise it without any measurements and say, well, it looks like 30 feet to me, looks like 40 feet this way, and it's 12 feet high, and we don't know if he's got water in there or if they have a toilet or whatever. So they appraise it. So after that, they send a letter of appraisal notice, and not all this has to be done before April 1st. They send the notice of appraisal. So the guy, if he's not happy with what he gets in the mail, and you don't have to send it registered mail, you just send him it just as if it would be like your tax bill. And they send that, and then the next thing is if he wants to fight it, he can fight the appraisal. But in the meantime, if we say no, this is what it's going to be, then it has to go to the Board of Authority, which is the state. And that's when the lawyer gets involved. And when the lawyer gets involved and the town wins, then all the fines, and they've done this, that one of the towns told me that they went that far. The person paid all the fees of fines that were applicable to that particular item. And they had to pay for the lawyer for the town. And it's been done. So I want, if we've got a problem like this right now in this town, I don't agree with Mike. Mike and I had this discussion, and we were gonna wait for the appraisers to go through the town to get the job done. They're gonna catch it anyways. Well, I don't agree with that. If you do that, that means it's gonna, before the appraisal is done, it's gonna be a 2-year process. And then the 3rd year is when they're gonna send all the new appraisals out with all the new, what the appraisers found. So now you're looking at 3 years, an additional 3 years of this people who are in violation of not paying their fair share that belongs to the town. The town is carrying these people because they don't want to do what they're supposed to do. So I don't agree with waiting for the appraiser to do his job over the next 2 years before they get caught and they do their job. If we have someone who is in violation, then therefore we should get the appraiser involved. That's what we're paying them for. Go
No, we're
over
not.
there. Huh?
No, we're not. The contract for the appraiser does not have anything in it about us just deciding that we want to pick a property to have appraised. and
Okay,
have-
but if we ask the appraiser to
That's
go
the
there and
job.
do something like
Wait a
this.
minute,
what's
now,
the- what's
my
the-
turn,
Yeah.
my turn. The process you're talking about is fine. You know, that's the normal process we go through, only we use zoning to do
What the
that.
attorney just said in a letter to the town. Same
So-
thing as what I'm talking about.
We can do that, and the other towns, I guess you're talking about, I don't know what other towns you're talking about, but if they don't have zoning, they must have the listers that
Which
go
we
around.
used to, which we
The
used to
listers
have.
go around and do that job and
Yeah.
put that together before, that's the normal process, I mean.
Yeah, we
Nothing-
used to have a lister, but he quit.
Well, we sort of hired professionals because listing is no longer a job that the layperson
So
can
while
do.
these
You have
people
to
are
be-
here in town, if we pay them a couple $100 to spend an hour of their time to go over there and appraise this
You can't-
property, we'll be thousands of dollars ahead for the town.
Yeah.
Am I
the
correct to
lay-
say that?
Well, thousands of dollars on
On a what?
depends how many homes you're talking about. How
One,
many
one,
buildings you're
one,
talking
just
about.
one property. Could be a $1,000 building
Yeah,
that's
it
being
could be
assessed.
$1,000 tax bill. There's nothing to laugh at, certainly not.
That's right.
But I mean, I'm not sure what you're actually asking to do. What do you do you want?
I think Beth should know the process, like I just explained, what she evidently by her letter doesn't understand that process. And we were told, we were told one individual that the lawyer was taking care of it. Well, I can't find anything where the lawyer has even been discussed about this problem, except for the letter that I got from Noah. And it, so we were told that the lawyer was taking care of it, and I don't think that was true. Show me that I'm right or
I
wrong.
can't, I can't do that. Well, it's probably, I should speak for Noah. No, that's
I'm just asking questions,
Go ahead,
and
Mike.
I just don't
Look,
understand.
I don't agree with the way this was approached, okay? You're talking about Fortin, right?
I'm talking about anybody who doesn't want to get a permit for a new building, and she's got another case
Well,
right here.
if they don't get it, if they're building, if we catch them building a building and they don't have a permit, we pursue that to the ends.
Okay, so why aren't we?
Well, I don't know if I didn't hear she wasn't gonna do that. Her proper
She's
thing is to
she's
go talk-
asking right here. I would,
My concern,
my concern is enforcement. How are we as a town going to enforce these bylaws? We need to reevaluate either with the select board, and just to let you know, from what the other towns told me, select board has no authority for enforcement, just like we don't.
Well, I don't
So
know.
who is-
I
so
don't know
who
who you
is
think
best?
gets to hire I don't know who you think gets to hire an attorney and access the
I
town.
didn't say to hire attorney right now. That's the last process of the
Right.
steps.
No,
That
the
goes to
process
select
is,
board.
Beth well knows the process. If there's a setback issue, first thing, she works with a guy and says.
I'm not
"Look,
talking
you're-
about setback issues. I'm talking about if somebody doesn't get a permit
If somebody doesn't get a permit.
and
somebody-
refuses
you-
to.
You write them a letter and say you need to get a permit. And then if they don't get a permit, it's a notice of violation and you follow the normal process. It's nothing.
Okay, so
It was
why
done-
hasn't the normal process been followed in a specific case?
I'm not the zoning administrator anymore.
Okay, so who is Beth's boss?
The select board
board.
hires and fires, but that's it.
That's it.
I'm not her boss.
So if she decides not to do enforcement at all, and she's asking, she's really concerned about enforcement. So someone needs to sit down with her then and explain to her what the things are, because I'm telling you what's gonna happen here. People are listening in on this. A lot of people. It's on YouTube. I've seen it. And what's gonna happen is people are gonna say, hey, screw this. I don't need to get a permit. I'm just gonna ride the wave for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and not have to pay any taxes. And before it goes to court, then maybe I'll get a permit. That's what,
Every-
this is what's going to happen, Joel.
Mark, every time we've known for decades, every time we've known of a case where somebody was building a building without a permit, we resolved that issue. We did not ignore that. I don't know where anybody gets an idea.
Well, we're going on 3 years on one person that hasn't paid any taxes on a new building.
That,
And-
Taxes or a permit, different.
Huh?
Taxes or a permit, those are different situations.
I realize that, but if you have a permit, then the assessor can go over there and assess it. And if they refuse to get it, then, and it's been riding like this for 3 years,
that
and it
person
could
got
go-
a permit. That
Huh?
person got a permit.
what person?
Stroike,
I'm not talking about that one. I'm not talking about that 9-year-old one that had a building that didn't pay any taxes on it. And perfectly knew why. Yeah, paying taxes on the land, but not on the he knew what he was doing. And it dragged out for years before you caught it.
no, well, Mike caught it and then I caught it, but
No, but this is what I'm getting at, Joel. We need to have something, a procedure to follow, whether or not we need the guidance of the select board
No.
or no, but somebody needs to help her. She's
I-
asking for help.
I think you get her
She's-
help.
we have offered, believe
Yeah.
me, we have offered her help.
But then why,
They
think-
call me anytime. And she
See-
has, but she hasn't pursued this particular issue that you're talking about with me.
Like
She's
you're,
in-
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Gene, go ahead.
Well, no, you're talking about this 9-year-old or whatever it was. He never put a petition, permit in. Well.
we didn't know he was building a building.
How are we to know that unless we drive up to his place? Right?
Well, that's what some towns do. They spend
Yep.
a month's worth of weekends and they ride around and they say, oh, gee, that's a brand new porch. Oh, this is this, this
That's
is
the
that.
list, the listers do
$7,000.
that kind of work and they're paid to do that.
For $7,000 a year, is Beth gonna do that?
No, that's not paid enough. Who's gonna pay her gas? Who's gonna pay the wear and tear in her car?
Right.
Well,
That's why the town needs to wake up here. We need to have
Can I just
something
say-
better.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is where there's two separate issues here. Building permits and zoning are one thing. Taxes are a whole separate thing. You're kind of mushing the two together.
No,
They're
we're not.
not the same thing. Yes, you are. You're saying Beth is going to go doing all of this so that we get tax revenue. That is not Beth's job as the zoning administrator. And you
And-
can't enforce zoning through the taxes. There's no way to do that.
Well, other towns do it.
So
I-
if
No,
you get
they're
a
not.
permit,
They don't.
so if you.
They don't have zoning. They don't have a building permit. There is no zoning in those towns.
Right.
They're getting to
That's
put on the
true.
tax roster, which we can do that too, but that's separate from zoning.
Right, but don't you have to get the permit so that they
Yes.
can build and
right.
therefore
That's
we.
how we
get the
know.
taxes?
That's how
That's
we-
what I think you're trying
That's
to
how we
say,
know we
right?
have
No,
That's- When you have zoning bylaws, that's how it goes. But
Right.
if you don't, then you have somebody going around and you,
We used to have a lister that used to do that. We don't anymore. Now we're hiring.
You want to run for a
contract-
lister, Mark? You want
Huh?
to be a lister? Want to run for a lister? We have two
I've
positions
got
always
my,
open and nobody
with the
ever
water,
runs.
with the water and sewer and this planning board and what I do every day for work, I don't have the time.
So
Okay, so,
let me just suggest,
I'm spending as much time as I can to help out the town.
and it's appreciated, believe me, really. My only point would be that the amount of money that it costs the town because of the problems you're talking about is tiny. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans for now. If there was widespread, you're maintaining, I don't think you can have the evidence to show me that it's that widespread and that it affects that much the value of the grand list. Remember, the grand list is 1% of the value of the town.
But we've had one
So-
case was that 8-year-old one that got away from us. And now we've got one that's going on 3 years and possibly 5 years if we wait for the list for the assessors to catch them. I
There's
mean,
no-
you're talking $20,000 here.
There's no question we should be pursuing those. I don't know why you think, I don't know why, we
Hey,
always would have.
you just brought that up again. Then how do we pursue it, Joel? How do we
There is a
proceed?
process, where there is a process, you get, Beth
I
will
just
give a notice
explained
of
to you the
violation.
process. I just explained to you the process.
No, that's the process for setting the valuation of a house. That's not the process for zoning.
So something's wrong here then. Something's
Nothing.
wrong if that's in place, that's not working.
Find
So
me.
how do we
make a-
rectify this
I,
problem?
I want to know the exact problems you're talking about. Put a list of them and we'll get on it. I'll help
It's not-
Beth.
You're not answering my question, Joel. What do we do when something like this, she's got another one right here that refuses to get a permit. So what do we do?
You know,
What do
didn't we just go over this? If we know that he's building a building and isn't getting a permit, she sends a warning and say, you have to have a permit and you better do it. And then I usually would, that happen, I would say in the next week or two. I used the word promptly. And if they didn't respond, the next thing was, I usually send another letter and I threaten that the next letter is going to be a notice of violation. And if they didn't do it, then the next letter was a notice of violation. I gave them every opportunity. We're not trying to, we're trying to be reasonable. So give them every opportunity. And usually that worked.
When it doesn't work, what do we do?
That you give the notice of violation for building a building without a permit and hope to hell that they meet the setback where they built the building, because in
And
the end, it could mean-
how long is this process? In the meantime, the town is.
we have not had to go to that length for years. So we went to that length with Dolores. Remember Dolores with her building out there at the right at the at the corner of Alder and Cross Street. She had a built addition on the building and didn't meet the setback, her restaurant there.
Yep.
And we made her tear it down. We went to court. It cost us $6,000. And it was a minuscule addition, but we had to pursue the thing. Somebody brought up the issue and we had to pursue it. And the only other time was Orlowski's, and that was a heck of a case. I think
That
there was.
didn't take long.
I
And there was no lawyers there.
We have
What-
not had to go to court. Now,
Right.
the
Yeah.
other thing is,
Yeah.
the other thing with
So
with
is this
simple violations is
Right.
you look at them and you see how serious is the impact on this violation. And if it's not going to be, if nobody's really complaining about it, what we've done is send a notice violation when they don't fix it. And it just sits there. And when they go to try and sell the property, the title search is going to turn that up and they're not going to be able to sell the property. And there's probably half a dozen.
Yeah, So that goes all these years, and that's revenue the town has lost.
No, it's not revenue. There's no revenue. There's we're not talking about specific building permit issues. I mean, it could be that, but
But that's what I'm getting at.
it's not that we don't.
There was
eventually-
one, I remember, Joel, there was one of those ones because it was on Railroad Street. And the deck that they built was like, what, a foot too close or 2
Right,
feet too
it's
close or
Still
something.
sitting on the books.
That's right.
We're not gonna-
But we're not going to sue for it because it's just, it doesn't impact the neighbors could care less. And it's
Right.
just 2 feet too close to the property line.
And when Ken Stransky was a zoning administrator many years ago, this departing action was to file a half a dozen notice of violations on different things which never were pursued. And you know, those kinds of things, if it's a serious, what I've told Beth is, look, if it's a serious violation and you're going to file a notice of violation and you think it's that important, then go to the board and make sure that they say that they'll cover the cost. Because I don't know what you're talking about with other towns, but the zoning administrators do not typically have access to the town treasury unless there's a specific line item in the budget that would say zoning administrators fund for pursuing zoning violations. Then that's an approved budget line item and the zoning administrator can decide how to spend that money. But the courts are overwhelmed with zoning and they have made it clear to the towns indirectly. I guess I couldn't say made it clear, but indirectly, it's the word is out. You know, try to stay out of court. They want you to they will send you to mediation. That's what
So
they'll do.
are we doing anything with Fortin with the $100 a day? Because we did vote on that.
Just think about the $100 a
Right.
day. How would,
Excuse me?
so the zoning administrator issues, what does she write it on a piece of paper? We have no tickets. So how would the process even work? We're not.
Then why did we vote
this
on
law.
it?
That's what I'm getting at, Joe. We have
So-
nothing.
You can't vote on that. Honestly,
Yeah,
I mean, you can put it in the zoning bylaw. You don't get the authority to vote on that. You know,
I
I'm part of
know
the planning
We
commission.
did.
I don't
You're
get
not
that.
getting-
We don't get that.
You're not getting, Mike, what I'm saying. I know we don't have authority to do that, and neither does the select board. But who does? And if
Well-
they don't do it, then what happens?
If the zoning.
Something's
administrator-
missing. Something's missing in this process. How do we fix it?
What's missing is that some people just don't want to obey the law, and we all care if about 65% of them obey the law. We don't care about the rest.
But that's a hell of an attitude to have. I don't agree with that.
No,
And
I think that,
I feel that if you don't want to pay for the appraisers to go to the properties, I'll pay it out of my pocket. How's that sound?
well,
And then we'll get an appraisal, which is probably not an accurate one, because they can fight and say that they're not happy with it. But at least now it's on the books. At least now
if
it's going to be
the next,
out of the tax bill, and
We
I'll
could-
pay for it out of my pocket.
well, better than that,
the
Mark, go
appraiser.
to the select board and say, can we amend, would you approach the appraiser with an amendment to his contract that allows him to go out and find some wording to say to go out so many times
I
a year
don't-
on a call or charge a rate that's per call so that we would have some money, so that we could plan to have some money to
I
actually
got
pay
a
to
question
do
to
that.
ask them. So somebody builds a brand new building on the lake, $1 million building. Who's gonna appraise it?
As soon
Who's
as the
gonna
appraiser,
appraise it so it gets on the tax rolls on April 1st?
soon as he gets a permit, the person gets a permit, and the appraiser appraises it before April 1st. That's the job.
You
That's
gotta
what they
pay-
do. They come in and
You
pick
gotta
up
pay the
zoning permit.
appraiser to go and
Not for
appraise
that.
it, correct?
No, not for that. Not if it's a zoning permit. That's part of the deal. For a zoning permit, they automatically come in, the zoning administrator has to lay a copy of every permit by law on the lister's desk.
That's
So
part of his
they can pick
contract.
those up and go through all of them and visit all the sites and make sure they set a value before April 1st.
That's correct.
That's the way the process is supposed to work. But after April 1st, you can't change the value
No.
of the property unless there's a new zoning permit. Or if they're building some new value, then you can. But you can't change it, for instance, because it's some comparable sold at a higher price. You can't do that.
But you have to agree that there's a step here that's missing. There's something that's missing here so that if we don't have a permit, but other towns, they have the lister going. And I know we don't have a lister anymore. We have an appraiser that we pay for. So I don't understand why you just don't call the guy up and say, we have a piece of property that you need to meet us at a certain location and give us a what they call rough justice appraisal. And then that's what's going to be put on the books for April 1st. And we'll send a letter to the guy saying that this is what we've appraised your property at. If you have a problem with it, you can appeal. And then the process, just like the letter that you just passed out about what the lawyer just said. It's all that process is all written down and what's supposed to be done. And nobody seems to want to do that. And I don't understand it. I just don't understand. I'm missing something
What we
here.
really would take care of what you're asking about is if we had 3 active listers, because they did used to do that. Muriel Webb and Mrs. Galunas drove all over town. They did that, but you can't find people to do that anymore.
But what do we do?
So you have
How
to
do we
pay-
fill this?
So you
How
have
do
to
we
pay-
fill
You
this
have to
void?
amend the contract and pay the appraiser. And if you want to do that, go to the select board and ask them, or go to NOAA.
I will.
Ask
The
Noah
next
if he
select
would
board
approach the
meeting, I
appraiser.
will be going to go to the select board and ask them to amend it so that when we have a situation like this, that we can take care of the violator. And even though we don't have a permit, they're gonna go down the tax rolls like they're supposed to be. The next meeting, I will be at the select board. I'm just trying to fill a void here that we're lacking.
I just want to know who's going to make the determination, who's getting turned into the appraiser and who isn't. Because
The
you're opening,
Zoning
you're
administrator is the one that's supposed to be doing her job. And if she has a
That's-
problem with somebody.
she only cares about the permit. She doesn't care about the taxes. That's not her job. So you're all worried about the tax revenue. Who is going to make that determination? So I walk past your house, Mark, and I say, it looks to me like you put a deck on there. Are we sending that appraiser out to double check? And who's making that
Absolutely.
call?
If it's a
But
brand
who?
new deck, yes.
But who's making that determination?
Who's driving around
Who is
town?
going to turn them in? Because you could run up $1 million bill with the appraiser, sending them on these goose chases to look for every little.
You're being excessive here, Mike.
It's
That's
gonna-
that's not
no,
what I'm
that-
talking about.
It's going to cost you more than you're going to make.
That's just the point I'm trying to get to is
But
this
why
is an
can't,
expensive thing.
so the appraiser should be able to give us a fee structure if he's called out for one
Sure.
situation. Well, I'd like to know what the fee is going to be. Can you do that, Joel? Find out for me?
Well, I think Noah should talk to him, but
Okay, could you do that, Noah? I'd like to know what the fee is going to be for him to spend an hour of his time.
Before I do that, I want the select board to direct me that that is the route they want to go. And then I will happily do that. That's not a problem, but I want them to tell me. Right? Because if I go and I get this estimate from this guy, the expectation is we're gonna do this and he's gonna draw up a contract that the board didn't ask for. So I would present it to them
So
for,
I'll go to the board,
okay.
ask him
And
to
that's the route they wanna
direct
go.
you to get a fee, what that fee is going to
Not a
be.
fee, I will get a contract, because he won't do a fee, he will do a contract.
So much per hour.
That's just like a fee. So much an hour of his time, and it shouldn't take more than an hour to look at something from the road or from the thing and say, okay, I'm
It's
estimating.
not
he's
your-
not-
you can't determine that.
yeah,
Huh?
wait.
Say
Yeah,
that again?
Mike's, go ahead, Mike.
What I was going to say is you can't say it shouldn't take you more than an hour. It will be whatever he's going to bill you.
That is correct. That's
You know,
why
you don't get to
that's why we
set
would
that.
need a
He could
contract.
say, okay, I'm just going here, it's gonna cost you $500 flat fee.
Even if it's 20 minutes, he might charge us for an hour and 45 minutes of his time or 2
Well,
hours.
he's gonna
whatever-
travel over here.
Yeah, whatever the base rate is.
Well,
Yeah.
He should
Absolutely.
only respond to a written letter. That's the way the zoning administrator can work and then does work in some towns. They don't go, they get a phone call. It better be, usually we always used to be advised to don't go unless it's a written.
Yeah.
You want a record of it. So it's a.
But having a
decision
town
that-
lister, the process is so
You
much
don't, you
easier.
don't want this guy going out and charging us fees, expensive fees on wild goose chases. You want these people, if they are that concerned about it, write a letter. That was what I wouldn't, you cannot create a scene where he just responds to every Tom, Dick and Harry that calls him on the phone and says there's something. my
But no, that
neighbor-
would be Noah's job is to call him.
Well, and that's why I want the select board to direct me to do that, because we're adding to the things I'm doing. So
And that's not really the town manager's job either. Sorry, it's not.
Say that again?
it's
It's not
really
the town
not,
manager's job.
you could get a list, right? You could.
I have a hard time with that statement, Mike.
You can look it up in statute.
I mean,
See what my-
what, does it list what the town, I'd like to see what the town manager's job is then.
Happy to print it out.
That would be great. And then there's some things I won't bother you anymore.
It doesn't involve doing all the work for the planning commission. Let me put it that way. That's not the town manager's job. He doesn't answer the planning commission.
He's only here to do the minutes because nobody else wants to do it.
That's correct. Much
Right.
like the lister.
It's really too bad that people don't want to be listers. It's really an interesting job. I mean, you get to, it's kind of like the Price is Right. You know, you get to go out there and set a value for people's property, you know, you get to go in their houses and check all this stuff. And I mean, that's what
That's if they let you in.
I wouldn't feel like
Well,
getting thrown
if
out.
it's a formal, if it's a formal appraisal, they either
I don't
let you
think so.
in or you can make up whatever
I
you
thought she
want.
was. but-
No, that's what I'm just saying. That's rough justice after that.
Yeah, that's, you can.
So, Do we not have any listers at all? What's Tara? Wasn't
Well, I
she?
think Tara, but I think we have to have some to sign documents. I mean, we
Yeah, there
should
has to be
actually-
somebody for the
Oh,
hearing
she's
every
just-
year.
Yeah,
We,
okay.
we
Yeah,
really should
what?
abolish the position is what we should do and turn everything over to a professional appraiser. Because it just complicates us because it's struggling to find two people who don't do anything except sign documents, really, because they're not trained or anything.
Is Tara one then? Is Tara on board with the lister? I
think
thought I
Tara's-
heard that.
I think Tara's a lister.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
the
think
only
she's
one
the only
we
one
have?
we have.
She
Yeah.
is. She,
Stephanie was the other one, and she's not around anymore.
Yeah, so much less complicated with a lister.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad nobody wants to do it.
Any
I
other-
was just, because of the fact that we don't have a lister, I was trying to come up with an option that we could use, brainstorm and come up with an option that would help fill that void. That's all I'm looking for.
So if we know of somebody who doesn't have a building permit and we find out about it, we pursue the zoning route. You know, we take them, we make them, threaten them, and eventually they come around 9 times out of
Yeah.
10. As soon as that's done, I mean, it's only a year cycle. So at any time of the year after April 1st, if that happens and we catch them, that goes to the listers and they will make sure that property is taxed the next year.
That's correct.
That's so I think we have a system for those people that we catch. The ones we don't catch is a different story.
And Beth is actually saying
that's-
something in her statement on her report that, for example, like in a permit fee for initially failing, having a fee for failing to even obtain a permit, like fining them, like you catch them and they've already got it up and you're not saying, okay, now get a permit.
Well, I think a permit fee should be doubled if they put it up before they.
Well, that's what she's questioning as well.
Was it there? Didn't we talk
I
about
thought we
that?
talked
We did
about
that
this.
already.
Yeah. I
Yeah, we
think
did.
We were gonna double.
I don't know if I saw that anywhere,
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
my
I
paperwork.
remember.
If they don't get a permit
We talked about
and
that.
they need to get a permit, what's the
After
permit
it's
now,
built.
150?
No, it was more than that. It was 250, I believe.
So that's for the DRB, if it goes to the DRB.
No, I'm not just a permit for the,
So it's one.
150.
okay, so if they don't get a permit,
Yeah,
they
but
put
did
up
we
a
say
building,
that?
then it's $300.
That's in our town bylaws, we're gonna change that?
Well, no, it's not in the
Yeah,
bylaw, it's just in the
Not in
rule,
zoning?
basically your rules.
Thought that was in the book that we were working on, changing
Right.
the wording.
You need to look at what she has on the permit because she updated the permit form with the fees on it.
Our town of zoning bylaws, okay, with zoning.
I'll definitely print this out for you, but like right here, 24 VSA subsection 2, section 2 up to the assessment of taxes or property valuation judgment limited to authority in general cannot perform. I literally cannot have anything to do with it by state statute
Okay,
at all.
So now,
Same with elections and everything.
yeah,
else.
yeah.
That's why like I'm having a hard time trying to help with elections, but I also can't.
So now what do we do now? If that's the case, what is the process going to be? This is all I'm trying to find out,
I
guys.
understand.
I'm trying to find out what we are going to do for the process so that she also can follow that process. And right now, she's questioning her job because she doesn't know what to do.
I don't know why she doesn't know what to do. If she has the problems that she talks about there, the avenues are pretty clear.
Well,
The one-
evidently
the
it's
one-
not.
There is one situation with one party that has been confusing. And I don't know where it stands at this point. I think there's been an attempt to resolve the issue to some point, but I don't know where it stands, and it was a little bit confusing, and
That's for Mark.
Well,
I don't know how she's handling it.
Joel, I'm just at a loss as to what to do and how to go about doing it.
And
And
maybe that's something we can ask the league. I can certainly do that for you.
what's that?
Ask the League of Cities and Towns, ask VLCT and say, well, what do you recommend? What is the best practice? I can do
That would
that.
be great. We'd have another opinion, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I understand in the case, that's one case, that the party who didn't get a permit for building some buildings filed a permit and paid up as much as $300 for the permit, but that was ruled as maybe not adequate somehow, and I don't know where it was left. I don't know whether she's trying to, I just don't know where it was left. I thought there were some things that could be worked out with the gentleman, but I don't know if they are, and I don't know whether she's pursued it. And I think she may be a little.
But she was under the impression it was
Not-
given to the lawyers, and that's not true.
The lawyer,
The lawyer has got nothing to do with that particular case.
you know.
I've already
I
found
know
that out.
It wouldn't go to the lawyer until there was a notice of violation filed, and there was never a notice of violation filed.
Correct. So we have a step in the process
And
that wasn't followed.
I told her to please, if she wanted to file the notice of violation, I'd be glad to help her work on it. But it needed to be, that was the next step, and that's the last I knew.
This is what I'm getting at, Joel. I'm not trying to be a hard ass here. I'm just trying to find out what are our options? How do we handle it?
Maybe another opportunity for all of us to, is we could always, of course, we could always pay to have VLCT come here and give us a training, right? But maybe it would be good to do some of that together during a meeting. We have a working session where we kind of sit and we watch the video for VLCT regarding the plan commission and their role and the zoning administrator, and have Beth here as well. That way it's clear what each party does.
That would be great.
Isn't that one of, didn't we not get an email?
Did I just send that out?
We
Yeah.
did. Yeah, right, the 17th
For
Right,
October
October,
17th.
or whatever.
October,
That might,
October.
What day is that?
I got it. I thought it was the 17th.
Is it, LA or?
You can either go there or do it remote.
No, Beth answered that she was gonna do it remote. I'd probably do it remote.
I'd like to do it right here. That's possible to have the room that day.
You're gonna have to not work that day.
That's fine. As long as I have plenty of notice. I'd like to come here and watch the whole thing. But most of the stuff they're gonna tell us is
I
already,
can't find it.
most of the stuff they're going to tell us is already what the lawyer just wrote in this letter. What the process is. We know what the process is, but we're lacking something to implement that process. We do not have a lister here anymore. So what do? How do we fill the void? So she has a SOP that she can follow, and this is how she's going to rectify the problem. And we don't have that.
She does have that. I think,
She
right?
does
Not
have-
for this-
There's a
not for
procedure
this.
she has to follow.
Yes, she does.
I thought so.
And I'm wondering why she wrote this in her report today.
No,
She's
I
she's
think
looking for guidance.
I know it's public meeting and.
It's
that's a terrible thing
confusing.
to say, but I think she's a little maybe taken aback by the reaction to her letter. And she's, I don't know how that's worked for her and everything, but I think she has some questions about how you go about doing this stuff, and she needs to talk to people and get advice. I mean, the NVDA has Allison Lowe, who's also, usually who everybody goes to from all the towns to talk to about zoning. She should talk to Allison Lowe. I mean, there's plenty of guidance, and the procedures are laid out clearly. There's a template for notices of violation. I don't know what more to say, that the process is clearly laid out. It's just a matter of following it.
I think maybe some kind of backup. She's wondering what, I don't know. We'd have to find out exactly what it is she wants. There's no sense in trying to figure out what it is she wants.
I tried to call her, and I know she's in school now, so it's hard for her to answer, to her phone. But I've tried several times.
If you text her, she will reply.
I think she was asking how fast she can go.
And she has to
How
be
far we can
careful,
push it.
sure,
So so can we just say that we've spoken enough about this for now?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't wanna,
I have a question. I have somebody, and I think they don't need a permit, but I just want to be sure. I was gonna ask Beth and I forgot. Wants to build a 20 by 16 chicken coop. But that's agriculture, and I know,
that's a lot of chickens.
I know. So,
But they have to write a letter and tell us what they're doing so that we can
Okay.
add the value of the chicken coop to the grand list.
okay.
They
That's all.
don't need a permit, but they need to
That's
write us and tell us what they're
Okay.
building.
Okay. And I know they don't have, they've got plenty of land, so the setbacks aren't a problem, but, okay, I'll let them know
Oh,
that.
it does have to meet setbacks, yes.
Yeah, I don't think
They
it's,
just don't need to get a permit, but it must
Okay.
meet setbacks.
let them know that.
Okay, can we wrap that? This
Yeah,
is, this is
yeah,
good?
go ahead.
Okay. Moving on, the other business. I didn't see anything in the agenda, and I didn't think about it, no, until later, is I know that in the minutes even, Joel had said that we wanted to talk about and get out of the way the signs. We talked about it and we approved different things, but you wanted to make sure that we were on board of what we said.
Yes, right. And
so
I
that.
I just went to the St. Johnsbury site today and looked at their sign bylaw, and it's not that long. Maybe for next meeting, we could put it on the agenda and just run through it and see what you think of some of those things, and if you want to add them. There's some good ideas in there, and then there's
But we've been
some
talking
things
about
that
it
are
forever.
not for us.
Is that the last item in order to finalize this?
It's the last item is one of the elements of the new housing bylaw that I have not yet addressed, and I have to figure out how to address that. I have not done yet. That's the last thing before we can send it for a re-adopting and renewing our zoning bylaw. All the other things are all ready to go to the attorney to have him say, yeah, it's okay. It's just this, basically the sign thing is really the only
Right.
thing.
Now, once this is done, Joel, we're not gonna spend money on a booklet. It's gonna be on the town site. Somebody wants to go and look at the zoning laws, they can refer to that now today. We're not gonna spend money to
Oh,
have a
no,
booklet printed.
it has to be posted in the paper. It has to, well, not the whole ordinance, just the headings. It has to be posted around town in 5 places. We have to hold a hearing. It's a lengthy adoption process,
And we can print them right there in town hall.
right?
I think we had a few copies made before, way back when. We didn't have a lot, but
When it's approved, we'll want to make multitudes of copies, yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be on the website, and it'll be,
If somebody asks for a hard copy, we have to take and have one.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
But there's no
But we're
sense
not
in-
gonna have 500 copies made.
No.
That's a waste of money.
no, they make a dozen or 20 at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on that?
Nope.
And next one is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make Motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Where is it? Where is it?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Just one,
So moved.
before that, so at your next meeting, an item on the agenda should be this report on the zoning law repeal,
Yeah, it'd be nice to
Which-
get that put behind us.
which I guess,
It would have
Mike,
been,
I get
are
it.
we, are we gonna, you have that template? You want to fill that thing out? and put it-
I don't go by that.
I do. Well,
Mike or I or Noah or all three will have something to put before the board at your next meeting to approve.
Okay,
in there. I know.
that'll include the signage and everything?
No,
No, no,
just
that-
do the zoning repeal report. We'll have
Oh.
a zoning repeal report ready for you to approve, hopefully by next meeting.
Okay,
Okay, so now we are ready for adjourning the meeting.
so move.
Good.
Okay, yep. Oops,
All
sorry.
right. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Hey, Mike.
everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Here you go, Mike. There's nothing to do with zoning. I had somebody, I texted you today about, so what it was is she wanted to be a vendor. And she
Yes.
found out about it this week on Facebook. Is there any other place where it would be publicized that, you know?
That a vendor would find out. There's